Law enforcement agency has a very classical hierarchical structure, defined chain of command, right? And they're really about setting expectations, at least for the most part. And I appreciate that caveat, Matt. He's found that a couple of his younger and coincidentally less mature officers don't always follow the guidance, even though they've been given the why a lot, right? So, um, and of course, he talks about, if they don't follow the rules, there's always the discipline that they could go for, and they need to, right, to set those boundaries. But that he's got some old souls, right, that have a great work ethic, but he's also got some other folks that maybe don't. So question is this: is there a magic bullet? Boy, I wish, because I would give that to you in a heartbeat if I could. But perhaps presenting expectations in a framework that he hadn't considered. So, Matt, I appreciate the question a lot. Here's what I would say. What I have found throughout my career, 28 years in law enforcement, 20 plus of those years as a supervisor, this is what I found. There's three types of employees in the workplace, right? There's the go-getters. These are the old souls with the work ethic that you were talking about, right? And then there's the I'm going to live up to my potential employee, right? And this is somebody who is not a go-getter. They may have all the talent, skill those the go-getters have, but and they try hard every single day and they do a great job for you, right? They're just not going to take that extra step. And then there are those ones that have the potential, but just don't live up to it. And these are the most aggravating people for me, right? I can get less out of that live up to the potential employee, and be happier with them than I am with these folks that who don't live up to their potential, because I want to help them do that. So that's really aggravating to me. And those are the folks that you have to look at and go, have the conversation with and say, you're not living up to your potential, but then not try to fix them and spend all of your time trying to fix them and grow them. Because if, and studies show this, right? If you spend more time on your go-getters, your organization actually improves. So I want to caution everyone here, and this is Brenda talking, okay? This is not research talking. This is Brenda talking just from my own experience. The younger generation to me is absolutely an amazing group of people. They are they have some of the oldest souls, right? I've got 10-year-olds talking about the meaning of life with me, which I absolutely adore. And they've got some great ideas. I think that, first of all, there's been lazy people everywhere. I remember when I was just getting into the workforce, I would look around and I was kind of one of those go-getters, but I would look around, I was like, that person's just lazy, right? And it was impossible to get them to do anything just outside of the minimum. So there's always been lazy people. But I think it's a little skewed today because we look at some of these people coming into the workforce and they have incredible talents, incredible skills. They're very invested in the profession and their mission and their why. And they really have raised the bar in our society. And as a result of that, we look at the lazy people or the people who just aren't the go-getters, and we're really focused in on them because that bar has been set so high by so many of their colleagues. So always remember, there's always been lazy people, and there's always been those people just don't want to do anything. But I think that's a little bit more pronounced today because of those very high achieving Gen Zers and millennials that we have out there. So little action items around this. First of all, set boundaries and expectations. If they're not met, they've got to have consequences, and set these early in a year. And the reason being, there was a research study done out of the Pew Research Group just a few years ago, and it said 48% of Gen Z parents, the authority figures in their lives, followed through with discipline. So 52% of them did not. So when Gen Zers come into the workforce, they look at you as the authority figure, and when you say, do this, don't do this, or don't do this, do this, they're like, I got a 52% shot that they're not gonna follow through with their threatened discipline. So it's really important up front to set those boundaries and expectations, and then follow through with discipline if need be, to let them know that that boundary line is really important. And also discover why they're not living up to their potential, or why they're not going that extra mile. Maybe they're lazy, right? Like I said, there's always been lazy people. Maybe they're not in the right profession. Maybe they're not being listened to. Really, really look in the mirror as a supervisor and think about that. Maybe it's an unsafe environment. They try to do more and they get mocked for it. That makes people shut down and just collect the paycheck. They don't understand the why behind something or the purpose behind something. I think we all know the importance of explaining the why or the purpose, especially to our younger generations. And maybe the processes are just old and inefficient. So those are some things to think about and consider as you move through that situation.